Where's that damn hat? I've had the N6 Mark II since late October. In quick succession, I tore apart its boxes and took a handful of pretty photos of it. But software problems on my end, and not Cayin's, kept me from doing much more testing than that. Apologies to you, Cayin, and of course to the people next in the review queue. These issues are long gone. Despite the delays, I'm ready to say what I was ready to say from day one. That is this: the N6 M2 is beautifully made, nicely branded, but not for me. I say this because it's too big. I say this because it's too complicated. I say this because its battery life isn't the greatest. I say this because I'm a mid-range guy, and the N6 Mark II is obviously high-end or TOTL or whatever you want to call it. The N6 Mark II's biggest problem is lithium-ic or ish. Even when shut off, its battery drains in less than a week. Playing back music, it drains in less than 15 hours. But add browsing, fiddling with controls, album swapping, and other things, and that number quickly dives even to below 10 hours. Considering its power, that isn't bad. Typically, however, the DAPs and other audio gear that I use, even under the most demanding of use case scenarios, keep up a good 15 hours of playback. To be fair, many TOTL DAPs similarly fare, but to be fairer still, getting through a modern workday and the commute home on a single charge should be par for the course. My most used audio devices are MD recorders, none of which gets worse than 15 hours of battery life. Some of which get more than 20. Some get even better than that. And then there are my Cowons and my Onkyo DAPs. The Cowons get a couple of days worth of battery life, and even the Onkyo will get more than 20. The N6's second biggest problem is robotic. Under the bonnet resides a robust Android OS that can play any file type you want, connect to Google Play Store, and browse both media and the web, just like a smartphone, or almost like a smartphone. The problem is that the N6 Mark II is neither as smart nor as fast as your typical Google or Sony Android phone. The latest iPod Touch is much more deeply integrated. Jumps from music to web browsers and other apps are smoother and uniformly gel between applications. I also find it a bit weird that when you open up the Photos app, for some reason your album artwork gets cast in there. I want to see photos. I don't want to see my album artwork unless I'm browsing albums. Certain Android touches like swipe down to access audio and other settings, the robust file system, better lock screen controls, and are definitely superior to iOS. Regarding volume controls, Cayin read my mail. 100 discrete steps, touch defeatable volume screen, plus minus controls, utility overlooks. It's got them all. Thumbs up to each one. Minor victories aside, the N6 Mark II is still a boat to handle. Across its tower are arrayed the following: stereo line out, 3.5 stereo output, and a 4.4 TRRS. Every single one of its outputs, headphone or otherwise, are among the most powerful I've used in a DAP, let alone a desktop audio system. Along its right side are arrayed the following: combination 10-user mains, a tracking back, play, and tracking forward controls. Along the bottom edge are USB-C and an I2S port. The latter is pretty novel in a DAP. I've only ever used one in home DACs, and I didn't use it for this review. The entire thing is buttoned up really well into a single block of milled aluminium. Its seams are perfect, its edges are kind, and while I don't like its stylistic flourishes, I have to admit that Cayin's grasp of gentle branding is refreshing. The attenuator hides between two protective horns and isn't easily twiddled one way or another. Its tracking controls, however, are. I accidentally hit them every single time I pick up the DAP or try to put it in my pocket or take it back out. Thankfully, those things can be defeated at the OS level by turning off controls for the lock screen. The N6 Mark II really is a boat, and it handles like one. It arrays all its outputs across the top, tipping the thing forward, and when you want to put the thing in your pocket or take it out, otherwise you're going to hit buttons when you don't mean to, and with the cables on the top, you got things catching all over the place when you want to do anything with it. Heck, even when you got it in the hand, the cables loop forward and then go down. It would be much better if the cables plugged into the bottom and then they would just loop down and go straight up to your ears rather than looping down this way and then coming this way. It's awkward. Plugs should go in the bottom, alright DAP makers? The leather case that comes with the N6 Mark II is pretty cool. It protects basically everything that you want and still leaves access to the card. So it does its job really good. But if you want to do some like swipe down stuff, this little lip here really gets in the way. Cayin offer a small but good range of aftermarket amp modules for the N6 Mark II, each of which is powerful and catered to a certain type of listener and use case. Each is also punctuated by commensurately different performance curves, measurable or otherwise. Want to change the amp board? Just remove these two screws here and slide it out. There's even like a fingernail thing here for you to do it easily. Goes in as easy as a PC board goes into a PCI Express slot on a PC, then you put the screws back in and Bob's your uncle. The N6 Mark II also features modern Bluetooth, but basically probably due to the antenna design or maybe the thick aluminum chassis, you're not going to get as far away with a nice pair of Bluetooth earphones from the N6 Mark II as you would from a smartphone. Like I can get up to 60 meters basically with an iPhone 11, but with the same AirPods Pro from the N6 Mark II, I get 20 meters tops. The N6 Mark II just about nails gapless playback. When forced, errors are minor. Better, they seldom appear. This means no more cue sheets or other workarounds. Live music, trance sets, and a good number of studio and classical recordings will be happy, as will you. There are only a few DAPs out there that hiss less than the N6 Mark II. This bad boy basically sits between probably an iPhone SE and an AK380, both of which are phenomenal, even for the most sensitive earphones. The Cayin Music app and its associated settings are impressive. There's a total of 7 DAC level PCM anti-aliasing filter settings. Among them are a sharp roll-off, slow roll-off, short delay sharp roll-off, short delay slow roll-off, super sharp roll-off, super slow roll-off, and low dispersion short delay work wonders to digitize or de-digitalize your certain music. My favorite, of course, is a super slow roll-off. It de-peaks the top end of my favorite earphones and otherwise comfies up harsh music. With the exception of Burson's Fun, the N6 Mark II easily outstrips every desktop audio amplifier or DAC I own or have owned for output power. Of course, Fun is as crazily overpowered as Rise of Skywalker's Creamy Sheev. As hardware tests bear out, the N6 Mark II also sends ample current to earphones, headphones, and lines out, ensuring music totally free of frequency fluctuations. It also means that regardless of the load, stereo signals are kept truly discreet. In fact, the N6 Mark II remains among a handful of mid and high-end DAPs I've used that treats harsh loads as complete stereo afterthoughts. An Earsonics SM2 presents a higher stereo load effect than a DT880-600, but that effect is basically even-steven from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. And the same goes for every load I've tested. Such control is inspiring, but it leaves me wishing for low-level controls over crossfeed. Why? Because while I love headphones, I much prefer listening to music through a decent pair of speakers in a 2.1 system, where both channels feed into both ears, of course attenuated slightly for left and right. Even in sharp roll-off form, the N6 Mark II sports an undefeatable low-pass filter. It starts its slow descent from about 10,000 Hz and goes down to 20,000 Hz at a measure of -1 at the high end. Yeah, it's totally inaudible, but because someone is bound to mention it, I thought I'd cut off the pass before we get there. Even spitting volume levels that far exceed typical thresholds for pain, the N6 Mark II is able to output over 90 decibels of stereo separation into an Earsonics SM2. Of course, at normal listening levels, as you know, watch my video, that number goes way down. But 90 decibels is not only nothing to scoff at, it's freaking amazing. In fact, no measurements the N6 Mark II returns is worthy of anything but total respect. That said, the N6 Mark II isn't a measurement king. It's more about power and feel than it is about absolute signal quality on a measurement bench. The way stereo fades to the sides makes vocals float to the front. Gentle reverb and soft muscular tremble really bring out tender emotion and feel, especially from female vocals. The other thing I think the N6ii totally nails is low frequency stereo imaging. Texture resolution down there is good to great, but stereo reverb and wide set gradations force attention to the center, whilst gently extruding the most important details from the periphery. Combine this with good super low pass filter settings and your peaky Audio-Technica CK10s will sound as soft-edged and beautiful as the highest end and best earphones out there. Apart from output power, all of that can be passed downstream. That means SBTIF'd through the N6 Mark II to your favorite MD recorder, you basically get a different or better master of your favorite albums. Damn. I dislike the N6 Mark II's stylistic flourishes. I dislike the location of its navigation buttons. I dislike its implementation of Android. I wish it got better battery life. In short, Cayin have a long way to go where design meets utility. Still, they managed to treat the human to a clean base 10 volume scale, fast UI, and good screen. The N6 Mark II is built and finished as good as any TOTL DAP out there. Better yet, it sounds truly amazing. No, it doesn't measure as well as some high-end DAPs, or for that matter, a few lower-end DAPs, but with the right DAC filter applied, what comes through is truly breathtaking. And the M6ii is powerful enough for your 600 ohm biodynamics and is good enough for a number of voltage-hungry planners out there. Most audiophiles are going to care less about haptics and ergonomics than they will about sound quality. That just makes sense. For me, I'm like in both camps, and so if my hats weren't so damn popular and I had one on my head, I would tip it 3 times for sound quality, build quality, and branding. And then I would not tip it because of haptics and ergonomics, which I think really do need a serious look over. Cayin, you done good, but you could do better. I look forward to seeing what you do next. So the N6 Mark II has been on the market for almost a year. If any of you guys disagree with my review, mention it in the comments. Leave a thumb up or 2 thumbs down. Look forward to hear from you. If you want to support the channel, $20 will buy you a hat. Don't got it today because they're so damn popular. Shipped all your way, handwritten by me, serial number, all that. The other thing you can do to support me is go to my Patreon. What I give back is high resolution photographs for your wallpaper or your computer screen from each of my reviews. The ones I think are best from them. I think they look good. The 2 patrons I got right now are pretty happy. So be the 3rd and be the 4th. So anyway, thank you very much. I'll see you next time.